listener production.
Hi, Natarsha Belling with you and welcome to the afternoon edition of The Briefing. Coming up in our deep dive, October is Mental Health Month and a high-profile Australian who has struggled with her own demons is now sharing a passionate new campaign to help others. On the outside, MasterChef winner Julie Goodwin had it all. An incredibly successful career with appearances on television and radio and a loving family. But on the inside, Julie was crumbling, crippled by depression and alcohol dependency. We chat with Julie about her depths of despair, how two strangers literally saved her life, and her important message for others about mental health. That's all coming up in just a moment. But first, let's check the afternoon headlines this Friday, the 17th of October. The Victorian opposition leader has hit out at the Allen State Government over failed bail laws after a shocking knife attack on a woman in the heart of Melbourne's CBD. The victim was walking to work on Little Bourke Street just before 8 a.m. when she was attacked from behind. The alleged offender stabbing the 36-year-old woman in the chest and puncturing her lung. The random attack was all caught on CCTV. The 32-year-old alleged offender was on bail at the time for unrelated offences and she was eventually located by police and arrested. Opposition leader Brad Batten says crime is a major issue in Victoria and locals have had enough.
They've lost control of crime here in Victoria. My former colleagues tell me that they want to see things like Jack's Law and get the wand so they can do their job properly. They want to see break bail, face jail, because they get sick of coming to work and rearresting the same violent offenders over and over again just for them to get out of the court system.
The victim has broken her silence, saying while she loves the local neighbourhood, she is now scared and even walking around the streets makes her nervous. In the US, former US National Security Advisor John Bolton has been charged with mishandling classified information. Bolton faces 18 criminal counts and is accused of illegally keeping and transmitting national defence documents at his home in Maryland. Bolton publicly said President Trump was, quote, unfit to be president in his 2024 memoir. In a statement, Bolton has accused the president of an abuse of power, adding his retribution against me began then and continued when he tried to unsuccessfully block the publication of my book. And tributes are continuing to flow for rock legend Ace Frehley after the co-founder and original lead guitarist of Kiss passed away at the age of 74. His family says Frehley passed away after suffering a brain bleed from a fall. In a statement, the family wrote, "We are completely devastated and heartbroken. We surrounded him with love, prayers and peaceful words as he left this earth. The magnitude of his passing is of epic proportions." Now it's time to get into our deep dive on Julie Goodwin's important new mission about mental health. Julie is an ambassador for Way Ahead Mental Health Month and is now hitting the road with a first ever national tour. Called Your Time Starts Now, Julie will share her very personal story about how she hit rock bottom and then turned her life around. On this important month, Julie joins us now with her important message about mental health and her advice for all Australians. Julie Goodwin, what an absolute pleasure to chat to you. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful, thank you. I'm doing really well.
Okay, so in regards to, we're talking to you today about the fact that a lot of us receive a wake-up call regarding our physical health or our mental health when it's too late. Can you talk to your wake-up call for your recent journey regarding your mental health?
Oh, yeah. I ignored a lot of signs and symptoms of declining mental health for years. Actually, probably my whole adult life. And it eventually got to a point where it wouldn't be ignored anymore. So I think that I ignored the signals that my brain sent me for so long that it just went, well, if you're not going to pay attention to, these signs and symptoms, I'm just going to send it out into your body and make you feel it in your body. And so I started to get very physically unwell also. And it eventually reached a crisis point, and that was recognised by my husband actually, and he got me into into the care of the mental health system.
For you, Julie, we always push through it. You know, many of us say, we'll be okay. I've got these commitments. I've got that commitment. We need to push through. We need to have this tough exterior while inside we're crumbling. For you, what was that? I'm sure your body was telling you you weren't okay. There would have been that little voice in your head saying you're not okay, and you continued to push through. For you, when you mentioned there that your beautiful husband recognised that you did need some help, what were those warning signs that you ignored?
Oh, look, it began with just feeling sadder and sadder and sadder. Anxiety, like panic attacks, were becoming more frequent. The real sort of ones that I was ignoring was the fact that, you know, I was doing radio at the time and, you know, that's a pretty full-on gig. I would realise that I would have to set my face to a certain expression to do the radio and that when I left, I physically couldn't hold that facial expression anymore. I would just lose my smile. And in order to front up to anybody else that day, if I'd go to my cooking school or whatever, I had to arrange my face into an expression. And I remember thinking that's not right. That's not right. But I ignored that because, you know, people rely on you when it's your name on the show or your name on the door or that people are expecting you to front up for things. And I think so many of us feel that, you know, whether it's our job or our family or our friends, or you make a commitment, you stick to it. And the problem was I was making far too many commitments. So those were the things I was ignoring. I was drinking too much to try and shut my brain off at night so that I could get enough sleep so I could get up in the morning and do it all over again. None of it was working. And eventually other physical symptoms crept in, like I got the shakes and I got spots in my eyes, dizzy spells, terrible headaches, terrible intestinal problems, like horrible. And in the end, I just fell into despair that I could not get out of.
You've been quite open, Julie, in saying, which I think this is such an important story to share, that if you didn't get the help that you needed and your loved ones didn't intervene, that you wouldn't be here today.
That's 100% the truth. You know, I really reached what I describe as feeling like I was at the bottom of a well, you know, and I knew that there was light up there, but it was so far up there and I had no resources to move towards that light. I had nothing. And I did come to the belief that my family and everybody around me would be better off if I just took myself out of the equation and just stopped worrying everybody and stopped being a burden on everybody, that I was no good to anybody and I really just needed to get out the way. And I was in the midst of executing a plan when I was stumbled upon by a couple of beautiful strangers who recognised that I wasn't well and they sat with me until I was okay. And then, I shared that with Mick, my husband, and he took me straight to hospital.
So for you, Julie, having the support being in hospital, when you're in that, as you've described it, the well of incredible darkness and depression, it's incredibly hard to see any light in amidst that. When you went and sought treatment, how now are you continuing to find that light?
It's a long path and it's circuitous. It's not a straight line, I didn't just go to hospital and come out better. It doesn't work that way. Mental health doesn't work that way. It's actually, I fought against some of what I was told and I really had to hand myself over and build myself back up brick by brick with the support of a bunch of different kinds of people. And without that help, I don't know what would have ended up happening, but it's not just the help you get from other people, it's what the decisions you've got to make for your own life moving forward, So I had to start prioritising my health and myself, and that just wasn't something I did, and I think for many of us, it's not something we do. We prioritise our loved ones and we prioritise our employment, and there's great reasons for all of that, Our family does need us and our jobs do need us, but at the end of the day, they need us at our best, not at our worst. So if we consistently put ourselves at the bottom of the list of, whether I need to eat properly or whether I need to move around or whether I need to get sleep or whether I need to say no to a few things, if we consistently put ourselves at the bottom of that list of who needs what, we end up not being able to do anything for anybody. So if your motivation, like mine always has been, is to be there for the people around you and to be a people pleaser and to help everybody, let that be part of your motivation. Because I promise you, if you don't put yourself first sometimes, then you end up being no good to anybody. You're no good to anybody if you're in a psych ward.
Yeah, it's so incredibly well said, Julie. That's about putting yourself. It's actually not selfish, which some people think it is. It's actually about looking after yourself. And in regards to putting yourself first, how important has it been for you to be sober and also to look after your physical well-being just as much as your mental health? You look super fit at the moment. Is a really strict exercise regime a really critical part of improving your mental health?
Well, I wouldn't say strict because I've done the whole super discipline thing and it just, all of that is harsh self-talk, So strict doesn't come into it. It's got to be kind of joyful, and I know that sounds like a hard thing to come by if you're not somebody who naturally likes to exercise, which I'm not. Well, I didn't think I was, but I am now. I've found it's things that I enjoy to do. And part of why I enjoy it is because if a certain week doesn't allow for it, then I do something else instead, So there's no strictness about it, but there is a consistency about it. It's got to be something. It's got to be either a swim or it's got to be, if I'm on holidays and I can't get to my own gym, which I really like to do, then I do other things. I walk or whatever, This past week, I've been moving furniture. So I've gone, well, that's equivalent to a gym workout. If I've been lifting heavy furniture and boxes of books and all that sort of stuff, that's that. And so I don't have to go, oh my God, I'm going to beat myself up because I only went to the gym twice this week, not 3 times. I did a gym day, but it was books and not weights. So that's how I come to terms with that. And that just has to be. And my sleep routine as well, getting enough sleep. When your sleep is terrible, everything is harder. It's as simple as that. And I don't think I'm saying anything that we haven't heard before, but perhaps just to frame it in the way that if you don't take care of that stuff, then it starts to interfere with your ability to take care of everything else. I did stop drinking altogether. It'll be coming up for 5 years now. That's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do because I was leaning on that really hard. And to stop that and to change that lifestyle has been a really big deal. But in all honesty, it gets easier and it gets easier. And to anyone who needs to walk that path, I can promise you, if you make it a decision for yourself, it's hard at first and it gets easier and easier. And to not beat yourself up if you don't walk that straight line. Again, it was a circular path for me. I stumbled a bunch of times, but I'm surrounded by people who love me and forgive me, and I had to learn to love and forgive myself. And now I don't even think about it.
It's incredible, Julie, for you, your important messages and your life experience, because you are a much-loved Australian. Of course, we all love and adore you, that you're now taking your important message on the road. Tell us about this exciting tour that's going to be officially announced this week.
Oh, look, I'm so thrilled. And it's the Your Time Starts Now tour. So it'll be a roadshow. And the idea behind it is I'll be taking to stages we're beginning in the regional areas, and it's going to be kind of like coming to my place for dinner. There'll be a bit of cooking, there'll be some chat. It's being done with my beautiful radio co-host, Rabs, who I had to stop working with back when I got sick, but we're going on the road together, and he will be my guest and my host and my MC, and it's going to be like pulling up a chair at my table. We'll have lots of great chats and it'll be fun chats as well. But I also think that there are important conversations to be had. So it'll be in conversation with those audiences.
We really appreciate your time. Congratulations on everything that you have done and for sharing your really important message. You do make a difference to so many. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you so much, Natarsha.
That was Way Ahead Mental Health Month Ambassador, Julie Goodwin. And that's it for this episode of the afternoon edition of The Briefing. We'll be back tomorrow with the weekend briefing. And on tomorrow's episode, Antoinette is joined by author Cam Wilson.
It is ripe for people promoting their own conspiracy theories, because what's better than just being able to make up something that already proves exactly what you believe? Conspiracy theories fundamentally are about not engaging with uncertainty, doubt, maybe even considering that you could be wrong. It's saying, I'm right no matter what you see or what you don't know. It proves exactly what I believe.
We'd love you to subscribe or follow us on Instagram @The Briefing Podcast. I'm Natarsha Belling. See you next time.